Hello guys and welcome back to my channel. I just came back from some hard needed vacation. I did burn my pale indoor gamer skin a couple of times. Nonetheless, my batteries are fully charged and I'm ready to create some more videos for you guys. When I was gone, Blizzard released another Q&A where Ian finally talked about some controversial topics like the changes that are coming to the GCDs. Let's start with the big elephant in the room, which is obviously the change to how global cooldowns will work in BFA. Like most of the WoW community, I was strongly against it and I'm still leaning more towards the naysayers. However, Ian did try to give a decent explanation as to why they are pushing to implement these changes. Even when most players are strongly against it, Ian definitely had some good arguments, but he's pulling the "as for the longevity of the game" card, while instead he should be honest and say that it's also about attracting new players to the game. I still think that the GCD change is for the most part happening because Blizzard wants their game to be more accessible for new players, as the change slows down the pace of the game. Something Blizzard also wants for Mythic Pluses and Arena esports. Slowing down gameplay means it'll be way easier for spectators to see what's going on. Ian also stated that high-level gameplay should be about quick decision making and not who is the better button smasher. As someone that does his fair share of theory crafting, I'm pretty sure that even with the GCD changes, every class and spec will still have their button smash rotation. Most people will just play around the restrictions of the GCD changes, while people that really like fast-paced gameplay will just look for classes and specs that are hardly affected by the GCD change. I think we can almost be 100% sure that this change is happening. I don't think Blizzard would make this much drama just to change their minds at the very end. Ian definitely came up with some good arguments, but I'm still not fully convinced. Next, they talked a little bit about how they're still trying to fill the void of classes losing artifact abilities, where Ian basically admits that Legion kind of was the all or nothing expansion, and they didn't really design Legion with a future expansion already in mind. Which I totally get. After the bitter taste of Warlords of Draenor, Blizzard didn't really have a choice, as Legion would either mean that WoW would die or endure. I have been playing WoW for more than 10 years, and I must say that Legion is going to be a memorable expansion. Ian did say that they are still having a hard time filling the gaps of artifact weapons. It's crazy how Warlords of Draenor can still have a negative impact on future expansion. Moving on to probably one of my hottest topics, which is the Heart of Azerite, Azerite traits, the Azerite gear, and how they will work for people that like to play every spec their class has to offer on a competitive level. Here Ian answered very vaguely, saying that spec changing will definitely be way more friendly than in the beginning of Legion, as there will be a system implemented where changing your traits on your Azerite gear will cost you gold. The more you change your traits, the higher the gold cost will be. At the end, it sounded that people like me that play classes like, for example, the Mage, that has 3 different specs and who wants to play every spec at a competitive level, will most likely have to farm 3 different sets of Azerite gear if they want to min-max everything and try to get good traits on every piece of gear. Of course, I'm not a huge fan, as this gives me instant Legion legendary feelings, and I hope they still find some sort of solution for this problem. They talked a little bit about Islands expeditions as well. I'm really looking forward to this feature. The more things players can do outside of raiding, the better. They confirmed that allied expeditions will be the best way to get Azerite artifact power. I'm a big fan of how Blizzard is doing their best to diversify how you can progress your character. Let's hope they find the perfect balance and that there isn't just one way, which is the most efficient way of farming. We all know people will always find the quickest way to farm stuff and just grind it out till the end, or till Blizzard fixes it. I can't say too much about PvP because I only played competitive during Burning Crusade and Mists. After that, I never really got back into real PvP, especially because I didn't like PvP in WoD and Legion. If they fix current PvP, I'm all for it, as it is again something I can do besides raiding. They also talked about allied races and the heated discussion about High Elves. Honestly, I'm someone that doesn't really care about allied races, so I can't really say much about the subject. As long as Blizzard gives me upright orcs and Zandalari trolls, I'm a happy boy. Like Blizzard not giving a fuck about what the community thinks of the global cooldown change, the same can be said about forcing the personal loot system. Blizzard also doesn't care what the raiding community thinks about them getting rid of Master Looter. Personally, I had my fair share of raging about loot being distributed between a select few within the guilds I've been in, and the answer to that problem was fairly simple. I switched guilds. Master Looter is a system that can be abused because it gives power to certain people within a guild. If you encounter these problems with your current guild, Newsflash, you're in a toxic guild. I get the feeling that we are getting treated like babies. Blizzard basically saying we are too immature to distribute the loot in a fair way among guildies and friends. At the end of the day, most people, including me, play WoW for gear and character progression. The only positive thing about the personal loot system is that it will give you more loot. People will still try to bypass the system by, for example, try and get a high item level piece of gear for every slot, and this way you can still distribute the loot to anyone in the raid that is on the same loot table, given that the piece of gear you got from a boss isn't your highest item level piece of gear. I can already imagine how some guild masters and officers will try to make it so that their raiding policy will be that all trials and new people will have to trade their personal loot to core raiders. Pretty sure I'm not the only one who has been thinking about this. Almost done here, they're talking about how they're making one appearance per cloth, leather, mail and plate. So yeah, with tier sets gone, single class fantasy gear will also disappear. I get why they're not putting too much time in gear when transmogging exists. As long as they still make good looking pieces from time to time, that's more than good enough for me. Last but not least, Ian talked about how Horde looks like pure evil in BFA, with Sylvanas doing some horrible stuff, and Varric Saurfang being the man of honor. Varric Saurfang is going to be, like most people, one of my favorite lore characters for the new expansion. Horde biased comment incoming, but I'm going to be completely honest, I'm so glad that I've been playing Horde for all my life. Except for when I did competitive PvP, you know, because humans got that insane racial. That's everything for this video. What do you guys think about the recent BFA Q&A? Put your comments in the comment section down below. Don't forget to drop a like on the video and be sure to subscribe to the channel if you want to see more videos. Go check out my live streams on Twitch. You can also follow me on social media, links are in the description. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.